Hello, good evening. It's another wonderful Sunday evening here on Metropolitan Television. It's day number 8 in the month of October 2023. My name is Kennedy Mona and you're welcome to Iron Port. Remember, the show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and it's brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GWEL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. Remember, our media partner is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. If you want to have a grasp of all that transpired on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show tonight. We are streaming live on our social media pages. On Facebook, we are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are live at Port of Tema. And on YouTube, we are streaming live at Iron Port Ghana. Iron Port Ghana. We shall be getting interactive with you, so all you have to do is sit back, relax, and get your phones, grab your phones, and send us messages and comments via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0559 019 177. 0559 019 177. And when the time is right and I pick signals from the production team, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the show. Please stay with us.
Guys, now I'm tired. I'll go on a date with whoever gets here first.
Princess, really? Okay, I come.
Shut up!
Mame, Boss, fill my tank with Super XP Raw 95.
Well up with Super XP Raw 95 and Diesel XP high performance products from GWEL.
Sorry, Tony got here first, so I'm stepping with him.
Oh, cut him. Hey, go for a
Choose Super XP Raw 95 and Diesel XP for an energizing driving experience. Always go for GWEL Super XP Raw 95. GWEL, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children
Accident vehicle is parked on the road. Thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Darling, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima.
Tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs.
Entercrade with a focus on the cocoa trade and other commodities and cargoes. Some key elements of this partnership include sustainable port initiatives such as the energy transition, trade development initiatives such as the exploration of market opportunities and other port development issues. The Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Michael Lugoje, expressed excitement at the prospects of this partnership.
Ghana has been a leading producer of cocoa, and of course the destination ports and how exports are done, mainly between cocoa board and what do you call it, the various marketing organizations. We only provide the port facilities over the years, but we haven't really had any special arrangements with any destination port to develop special programs that can help us promote the trade and grow it or probably make it more efficient. So we think that as we are advancing in our relationship, it is the first time we're going to have this kind of port-to-port kind of structured arrangement to see how we can promote business, not just in cocoa sector, but in other cargo segments.
On the other side, the managing director of the Port of Amsterdam International Toad Iron Port, his outfit is looking forward to exchange knowledge and business opportunities.
Well, the Port of Tema is for a long time already a partner. There is carriers, for instance, Grimaldi line, who are already calling for a long time in Tema and in Takoradi port and in the Port of Amsterdam. And well, they are increasing their presence in both ports, and well, this will mean that this is a good moment to intensify the relation also from port to port and to create a more efficient port.
All right, so that was one major event that happened, in the port and shipping industry during the week. We're now going to take a look at some international port and shipping news.
Car manufacturers and dealers globally are confronted by a shortage of capacity from the vehicle transport ships and mounting backlogs at rural port facilities. DP World Yaremka in Turkey, working with China's state-owned auto manufacturer Chery Automotive, reports it has come up with a new racking solution that makes shipping cars and containers a more financially viable alternative to help alleviate the delays in transportation. DP World reports it has designed a new rack that increases the efficiency of loading cars into containers to address the significant delays and congestion in Turkey's vehicle imports. Using this alternative solution to help make more cars flow into the country more quickly, DP World reports it began importing 10,000 vehicles by putting new SUVs from Chinese automaker Chery Automotive into containers. The Port of Rotterdam has announced a port fee reduction for ships that bunker sustainable fuels in Rotterdam, supporting the Zero Emissions Maritime Buyers Alliance, ZEMBA. The Port of Rotterdam highlighted ZEMBA's recent launch of a request for proposals for the transport of 600,000 20-foot containers on ocean-going container vessels powered by zero-emission fuels, noting that as a support, the port now offers a port fee reduction for those large container vessels when bunkering sustainable fuels in Rotterdam, which can run up to 500,000 euros in total. The port said to qualify, a ship has to bunker alternative fuels in Rotterdam with at least a 90% reduction in greenhouse gases, such as green methanol or ammonia, adding that the discount does not apply to bio-blended fuel oil, marine gas oil, or marine diesel oil, as that market is already mature in Rotterdam.
All right, so welcome back. We're now going to take our word or phrase of the day. And remember, the word or phrase of the day has been fashioned to bring you up to speed with the terminologies and jargons we use in the shipping industry. Now, today's word is corn row. Corn row.
A corn-row vessel is a type of ro-ro vessel which carry containers not only on trailers but also on cellular guides on the weather deck, with these containers being loaded by gear over the rails and not by trucks using the vessel ramps.
Right, so welcome. We're not zooming into our discussion proper tonight, but tonight our discussion is in two segments. We are dealing with the month of October, which is the pink month, where we take a look at breast cancer and related matters. And we also take a look at the Yaunde architecture, which is like 10 years today, 10 years this year. We're going to take a look at reviews and recommendations, how far it has spanned, some of the things that have happened. I'll tell you what the Yaunde, architecture is when we get to that particular point. But for now, we'll be doing breast cancer. It's a month of October. Every October, this is what we do. The International Maritime Hospital is at the forefront of championing some, programs and some, campaigns that would get you to take breast cancer awareness seriously. I was reading the other day, and I came across something that said even men can have breast cancer. I don't know how true that is. Tonight, we're going to take a look at that and how a man can be affected or impacted or affected with breast cancer. So with us in the studios tonight, we have Dr. Charles Ansan-Labi, who is a general surgeon at the International Maritime Hospital. Together with him in the studio is Madam Sandra Koba, who is a resident oncology nurse, also at the International Maritime Hospital. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So who takes the first question? What is breast cancer? How do we get it? Please, switch on your microphone, yes. Press it, yes, also, great. Yes.
So when we talk about breast cancer, it's to deal with the breast, the female breast, and men too, you have breast. So basically the human body is made up of cells.
Right.
So the breast is also made up of cells. So when the breast is affected, that's when breast cancer comes in. So breast cancer is basically malignancy of the cells in the breast. When they becomes abnormal and then they grow out of proportion, then we say that you have a breast cancer.
Yes, I know you've always told us to, or women, to examine their breasts by kind of like that kind of thing. And when they suspect there's a lump there, must the lump necessarily be accompanied by pain, or just need to identify the lump? Then you can see, hey, this is a danger signal. Okay,
so with actual cancer, the lump is not painful. And that is what women, we fail to report because we don't get the pain. But anything in the breast, and it's not only the lump that signifies you have a cancer.
Right.
There are other signs that we also see, and then that we are also preaching to our women for them to observe and then report quickly to the hospital. And these signs, some of them are nipple inversion. When you see your nipple pulling inside, in quotes, that's the nipple inversion.
Right.
We have nipple deviation. The nipple has originally moved from its original position to another part. That's the nipple deviation. When you see those signs, quickly you come into the hospital, then we check, we do further investigations. We also want you to also observe how your breast also looks. So if there's any slight changes on the skin of the breast, we are saying that report. There are other inflammatory signs you also need to also look out for. You see redness either on the nipple, the areola, or the skin itself. When you see the redness, you touch it and then you see that it's warm. Quickly, we are saying that come to the hospital, let's check and then find out. So it's not only the lump and then pain. There are other associated signs and symptoms we also look out for.
Awesome. Let me come to Doc, and if you can give us a sense of what the risk factors are as far as breast cancer is concerned.
So with the risk factors, we normally look at the fact that you are a female. So the fact that you are a female will increase your chances of getting breast cancer. So when you take a man and a woman, the chances that a woman is going to get breast cancer, it's about 99%, and that of a man is 1%. And the reason why they tend to get that, it's because of that prolonged exposure to estrogen. When you compare a man and then a woman, the woman has more estrogen effect than the man. So the very reason why somebody will be at a risk of getting breast cancer, it's the fact that she is a woman.
Right.
And then the second reason, it has to do with advanced age. So once you are growing up in life, it means that your exposure to estrogen, the duration that you are being exposed to estrogen is going up. And it's been known that women above 50 years of age tend to have breast cancer, and the percentage is about 80%. So 80% of women older than 50 years tend to have breast cancer. And then the other reason is that you should have a family history. So you have inherited a particular...
Hereditary.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just take the family history. There are some genetic mutations. We talk about BRCA1 and then BRCA2 gene mutations. And then we also have the TP53 gene mutations. So remember that in 2013, Angelina Jolie decided to go for bilateral breast mastectomy. The reason being that she had the BRCA1 gene. So she didn't want to increase her risk of getting the breast cancer. And when you look at the general population, that the risk that the general population will get breast cancer is about 12%. But once you have the BRCA1 gene mutation, your risk is increased from 45 to 85%. And the BRCA1 doesn't come alone with breast cancer. It has other cancers. For instance, ovarian cancer. And the risk is increased from 10 to 44%. And then the other factors is a woman's reproductive years. So once you start menstruating at an early age, let's say 11 years, once you start early menarche, we say, so it's the same mechanism that the duration of exposure to estrogen is prolonged when you start your menstruation early. And then when you end your menstruation or menopause late, that's when you are 55, your menstruation is after 55 years of age. And then a woman who has not been pregnant, because once you get pregnant, it means that the estrogen effect, it's reduced. So if somebody has not been pregnant before, her chances of getting breast cancer are increased. And then you also look at, once you get pregnant, you are looking at the breastfeeding. Are you going to breastfeed or you are not going to breastfeed? So it's been known that once you breastfeed for more than a year, your chances of getting the breast cancer will also go down. And then we also look at combined oral contraceptive pills. So people who take these combined oral contraceptive pills too, they tend to increase their chances of getting breast cancer. And then we look at other factors, that's the modifiable factors. So the ones I spoke about, they are the non-modifiable. You can't do anything about them. It's an inherited trait. But with the modifiable ones, what you can do. So what we are trying to preach is that we are trying to say that breast cancer, it's prevalent. Breast cancer, the incidence is about 2 million a year. And then in Ghana, it's about 4,000.
Global figure, 2 million.
2 million.
Global, 4,000 in Ghana.
Yeah, 4,000 in Ghana. But the Ghanaians, because they present late, they tend to, about half of the 4,000 people who tend to be diagnosed with breast cancer, they die because the individuals present late, right? So the message we are trying to put out there is that we have modifiable risk factors. So the modifiable, it means you can do something about it to reduce your chance of getting the breast cancer. So we are looking at exercises. You should be able to exercise regularly.
That's for prevention.
Okay, you can also, exactly. So it's also in a preventive way. So you should be able to exercise.
Right.
And then at the same time, once you are exercising, it means that you are trying to reduce your weight because it's the same
it's a
knowledge out there that
a risk factor.
Obesity. Once you are obese, it means that your insulin level is high, and insulin promotes the growth of cancer cells.
Right.
And then in the cells or in the breast, we have abnormal cells. And then these abnormal cells, once they grow, they form a tumor. That's what we call the cancer. And then they invade other healthy tissues. So if you are obese or a bit overweight, and then it's post-menopausal, it means your chances of getting breast cancer
are high.
And it's about 30% from research. And then apart from exercise, and also you are looking at exposure to radiation.
Right.
Yeah, there are some people who had conditions that made them go for radiation. So once you get exposed to radiation, to your chances of...
Awesome. All right, let me come to you and find out from you. He mentioned that the global figure per annum is 2 million, and in Ghana we have 4,000 cases every year. How pervasive this particular phenomenon on the global stage, or even, generally, and, what is the actual cause of this trend?
So the actual cause is, for us as Ghanaians, we fail to come to the hospital very early. We rather listen to people outside than rather the experts who have the ideas. So they present very late. And even this figure is even questionable because most people don't even come to the hospital.
Right.
Most people resort to herbal medicine. Some goes to the our churches. So the figure in question is even questionable.
Right.
But it's so alarming. It's so alarming. When you come to Kolebu and you see the women that come in with breast cancer, you will marvel.
Right.
So sincerely, breast cancer is there. Our women should know.
Is it the same massive, as it were, patronage that you receive at IMaH?
Yes.
In terms of numbers?
Yes. So with our routine outreaches, we saw about 1,200 people, majority being females.
Right.
And we had some few males walking in.
Right.
And out of that 1,200
yeah.
people, we had 51% of them coming with abnormalities. But God being so good, when we did the mammograms and then the breast ultrasounds, we didn't get anybody with a cancer.
Right.
But we were so happy, at least the women came in, at least we screened and then we knew that you are safe. Therefore, you go and then work on the preventive measures so that you don't have the cancer.
Right, so we'll just find out from you what the International Maritime Hospital is doing, to fight breast cancer. I know this year, every year you have a program targeted at, reducing and preventing and creating awareness and all that. What are you doing this year?
Yes. Okay, so this year, every year we do it, we create awareness, especially in October, but we have an oncology setting which sees all sorts of cancers, especially breast cancer. We have a clinic that we do the chemo aspect, the chemo bit in case you have the cancer.
Right.
We do our hormonal, we do our targeted therapy, we do our immunotherapy as well. And then we are not doing it alone. There are some facilities and agencies that also come and then partner International Maritime Hospital. Last year we went with some TV stations.
Right.
We went as far as Malata Market.
Okay.
We went to AMA, Accra. We did Tema Committee 1, where we saw all sorts of women coming in and getting screened. And I'm so happy. At least now our women are understanding there's something called breast cancer, and they are coming in. So,
Right.
Doctor, will
you
add
want
on?
to add?
Yeah, so the International Maritime is doing a lot in the fight against breast cancer. Yeah, so we are creating the awareness out there because IMaH is providing educational materials. And at the same time, it's organizing free screening for individuals. So at Maritime, for instance, because it's the month of October.
You can pull your microphone to, yeah, sure, absolutely, great.
Yeah, because it's the month of October, we encourage each and every individual, not necessarily a woman. A man can also get breast cancer. So we are encouraging everybody to come and then get screened.
Yeah.
And then apart from that too, we offer discount packages on mammogram. So you get about 40% discount on breast ultrasound and then mammogram. And so these are the things we are doing. And then we are also going to other institutions.
Right.
And we are going to churches and other places to screen the people.
Yeah.
Because we are taking the hospital out to the people who cannot come to the hospital. Now we are sending the hospital to them to get the screening done.
Right. Okay. So let me come to you and find out how, stakeholders in the maritime industry or people that are in the maritime industry can benefit from what you're doing in the month of October as far as your awareness creation is concerned, and whether there's something special for them beyond,
Okay, so before I tackle on that, I want to thank GPHA, our mothers and then our parents. And then what they are doing or what we are doing for them is, like Doctor said, we are taking the hospital out of IMaH to them. So we offer screening in their premises, also to create awareness and also to pick up abnormalities. Yes. And then with the other bodies, we also have other bodies like NPA. We did with NPA. We did with graphic communication. We have others we are also doing.
Yeah.
For GPHA, I will say that if they have access and if they have the time, they can equally also walk in. We have the free screening for them as well. We are not taking anything.
Right.
All that we want them to do is to walk in, and then we will give them the excellent services from our experts.
All right, Doc. So I mentioned in my intro that I read somewhere within the week that men were also prone to breast cancer. How true is this, and what's the percentage, of men that are at risk of breast cancer?
It's very true. A man can also be predisposed to breast cancer. The percentage is 1%.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you take 100 men, only one person or one man is going to be predisposed to breast cancer. Yeah, and then the reason is the same reason, being the estrogen exposure. So if you have a liver disease, if you have liver cirrhosis, it means it's not going to metabolize your estrogen. So estrogen stays in your blood, which will then lead to breast cancer, because the abnormal breast cells, they feed on estrogen that's present.
Right.
So the estrogen will cause the abnormal breast cells to form a tumor, invade other structures, and then cause the cancer.
Have we, recorded any male breast cancer, situation at IMaH?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes. Currently, we have one male patient who we screened, and then we found a lump. We were all surprised, too, but it's very common.
Okay.
Just that our men are not walking in. At IMaH, we have a current patient, a male patient with breast cancer.
Okay.
Yes.
I see. All right. Awesome. So finally, I just want to find out from you why somebody listening to us or watching would choose IMaH as a hospital of choice as far as breast cancer and other, special diseases are concerned.
So IMaH, you will say that
illnesses,
yeah, it's one of the leading tertiary hospitals in the country at the moment, and it also offers comprehensive care when it comes to breast cancer treatment. It's a 130-bed hospital with state-of-the-art facilities and a team of highly skilled and experienced healthcare professionals.
Right.
And then at the same time too, we have an oncology unit. And then we also attend to breast cancer, not just breast cancer, but other cancers, colorectal, lung cancers. We attend to all those individuals. And then we have the facility. We have MRI, we have CT scans, we have mammograms, and then we also have ultrasound. And these are like new machines with new technologies. And then our healthcare professionals too are very experienced. And then the nurses too are compassionate. They take their time when attending to patients.
Right.
So we have that track record.
Right. Awesome. Do you want to add anything?
Okay,
we're wrapping
so
up.
Doctor has said it. I wanted to add that we also have excellent service. We render excellent service. So when looking at any other hospital, look IMaH first.
Okay. Are there any activities lined up, or you'd want to create awareness about?
So for this October, our screening days are Mondays, Wednesdays, and then Saturdays.
Right.
But if you are busy on any other day and you want to walk in, you are also welcome, because we really want to screen and get to know if you have cancer or not. So any other day you can come in. And please remember, of our 40% discount, it's not happening anywhere than IMaH. Our 40% discount on mammogram and then breast ultrasounds.
Awesome. Great. So we say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Charles Ansant-Labi, General Surgeon, International Maritime Hospital, and then Madam Sandra Koba, Resident Oncology Nurse, International Maritime Hospital. Thank you very much for sharing some time with us and for telling the viewers and listeners what they need to do to prevent breast cancer and where they should come, if they seek specialist care as far as health is concerned. We're grateful to you.
Thank you
and
for
have
having
a blessed
us.
week. Yes.
Right.
So viewers, those were our guests from the International Maritime Hospital. Remember, the month of October is the month of Pink Month. That's cancer awareness creation. And you've heard our guests from the International Maritime Hospital. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we'll zoom into our main discussion for tonight. Please do stay with us.
Do you know that breast cancer is the #1 cause of cancer-related deaths in women in Ghana? Early detection improves life. Certain breast cancers can only be detected through screening. Do you know that being a woman increases your risk of developing breast cancer? Your risk of developing breast cancer also increases with advancing age. It is therefore very important to get screened for breast cancer.
The International Maritime Hospital is committed to early cancer detection and management. In this month of October, the International Maritime Hospital is offering free breast screening on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Get a free clinical breast exam by skilled nurses and doctors. Don't miss out on the other amazing offers.
We are offering a 40% discount on mammograms and breast ultrasound during Pink October. Learn more about breast cancer as we assess your risk factors. Learn how to conduct a monthly breast self-examination yourself. Join us at International Maritime Hospital as we raise awareness on breast cancer. Save a life, save your life. Get screened for breast cancer today. International Maritime Hospital, we serve, we care.
Eye yare bi a eto eman no fomo obroni friend no breast cancer sa yare yi emema so timbinya eye yare bi a edi nipa bebre nya ewo ye man Ghana mu eno nti eho hia se ubetu ho anamon na obekọ hospital na yahwehwe wanu fomo ahwe se ebia wanya kokram yare yi bia na eno nti na bosomi October ya yewo mu ye boda ro se oba bia nto ho anamon no nkwa ayaresa bia na yenhwehwe nanufu mu nhwe se ebia wanya yare ni bia esan se kokram yare eba embo nkaye uye oba yi nko ade mfie kwa animu nso de na yare yi ebetimi ato wo baabia nti menu aba ma yesre se yare tu ho anamo ansa ediwunya
Yen ayewo International Maritime Hospital aye friend no IMaH yen eniswadu hu se yarewa kokram ya eto nufumi ye beye nhwehwemu ntem ne bi hu yare no ne besa ano. Eitina bosumi October ya yesimi. International Maritime Hospital. Ema ya kwenya se. Yembra no wonye ye nufu imu nhwehwemu maye. Eda a wodi esi ho e wo saa bosumi eye. Eda dwouda, bukuda, ene memeda. Efi anopa no nkunu ekwesi ewia no miensa. Yemfa saa akwenya iso. Na a doctors for ne a nurses for wo yare enimdie yi. Enhwehwe ye nufu imu maye. Menanom Minyamia, and a mina for Fomia. May a massa quenya in Paris. Yamman one yenshim my.
And DJ strong Abba. IMaH 40% discount. Ewo abbe for machines I did for cram. Ewo ye no fumu. Your friend a mammogram and a breast ultrasound. Ya 2 years suffer say Brian Chow near ma a deco cram eba no funimo. And I said the one casaso befaso. I should show no funimo seco cram be ababa betoma. Ya 2 years suffer say Bekayan who and a day. A Brian creative awareness. The air should no fumu seco cram be abema. Ya se bra. Ni yemboa. Yen kasa ye agye yen kwa ye bo modern so agye wo so nkwa IMaH ye dwen wo ho IMaH ye do
for me flani go helane ne bro for me chole breast cancer no ji hela kenken ne gbe ye titu ye gan ne ni okadi ko nbe ne chon akehye helane oyeko chi oben ke hela chamoe ni akwa mi ahabo ne ka akwa ahabo no oyeko e abanya sana ne egbembo oleni bi ne keneke helane baalo ye jimenti tru ni helane amena ni yewuni amehemfa helane amena.
International Maritime Hospital hilachamo hile eto ehe for shake flani gbo hilaile ambawa ni ayoselemna ni amona amna ye Antonio na emie ju sho ke ho kedelebi mlechani ji nehu kashi mlechani ji eten abakwa fufomli ni ahe shika ni blofo chole free breast screening no bomba ni wo dachefoi kenes foi na chosi ame ye fufo kwemo mie amekwe ofufo ahabo ni keni ni fita mo he mo hona eko kwemo na ke fita he ni ana fufo hela odugba ni brofo chole mammogram ke breast ultrasound International Maritime Hospital ye nyon Antone mie ache no 40% ni mo fe mo ana ni le hwe bakwe no
eya akeshi obahani akwe ofufo eham wana nili pi eneke fo helane keji wana noti treni keneke helane ba esa kesi no fe no okwe keji chake moko eba ofo mi alo hemo pink October nike ni neke ha o mami lo osnono yoku ti o benke IMaH koni wowa ni wo keme lo bla menje mo keba neke helane ahi hero mo moko wala ngene hero mo bu o wala ngene mene ba koni wo kwa ofo mi neke ha International Maritime Hospital.
We serve, we care.
All right, so welcome back. We are zooming into our discussion proper tonight, and tonight we're taking a look at the Yaunde architecture. It's 10 years old, and we're just trying to review it and see what recommendations there are. Now, the Yaunde architecture came about in 2013 when leaders from the ECOWAS community, that's ECOWAS Economic Community of West African States and Economic Community of Central African States, together with the Gulf of Guinea Commission, came together in efforts aimed at fashioning strategies towards combating illegal activities, piracy, amongst others, in the Gulf of Guinea. Now, this particular summit in Yaunde gave birth to 3 products. That's the Yaunde Code of Conduct, that's one. The second is the Head of State Declaration, and the third one is the Memorandum of Understanding, between regional organizations. Those are the 3 mechanisms that the Yaunde architecture gave birth to. That was the Yaunde Summit. And so tonight we're trying to examine how far we've come 10 years after implementation. What have we achieved? Has there been a reduction in the Gulf of Guinea as far as some of these illegal and illicit activities are concerned? And what's the way forward for us as far as our quest to fight crime in that particular area is concerned? Tonight, I'm happy to announce that we have somebody from the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center to discuss the Yaunde architecture, coming on the heels of an event they organized quite recently. And so I'll introduce to us in the studios Madame Efua Ajewa Lamte. She's a senior researcher at the Faculty of Academic Affairs, Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Center. Welcome, Madam, and thank you very much for obliging us. So if you can give us a brief history about the, Yaunde architecture, I would appreciate. And then it will set the context for, our discussion. Yeah, right. Your microphone, please. Your microphone, yes. Absolutely, good. Yeah, sure.
In 2008, there was an armed robbery attack in Limbe, which is a coastal country in Cameroon. And the armed robbers were alleged to be pirates. And so they stormed this coastal country, and they were able to make away with large caches of money.
Right.
And they also escaped via boats. And so this singular incident sparked off the collaborative efforts in the ECAS region, and it eventually led to the economic community of
the ECAS region.
Yes, the ECAS region. They started the action on maritime security.
That's the economic community of Central African
States. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so they came out with a regional strategy in order to be able to stem the tide of piracy.
Right.
In a similar fashion, when we move back to the West African sub-region, you realize that in 2011, Benin's waters were also overrun by pirates.
Right.
And it got so bad that Benin and Nigeria had to meet together in what is termed Operation Prosperity in order to be able to rid the seaports of pirates. And then again, in the same year, the president of Benin then, Yaya Boni, he made an appeal to the United Nations Security Council to help them dislodge the pirates from their waters. And so this appeal was taken up by the United Nations, and it's resulted in some research that was done on the situation of maritime piracy in the Gulf of Guinea, and eventually it produced 2 UN resolutions, UN Resolution 2018 of 2011 and also 2039 of 2012. And so these resolutions called on member states as well as the regional organizations, as you rightly mentioned, ECAS, ECOWAS, and the GNGC, to get together and collaborate in order to put in place interventions that would stem the tide of maritime piracy. And so from then, as you know, before these heads of states meet, there has to be a ministerial meeting, there has to be a forum, and then the ministers of foreign affairs have to meet also. So all these were done, and it's culminated in the first ever meeting in Yaunde, as you rightly mentioned, on the 24th and 25th of June, where the leaders got down together and they brought out the 3 documents that you have rightly mentioned.
Awesome. All right. So I just want to, recently, the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center organized a program where some of these issues came up. Can you, briefly tell us about this particular program that you organized?
So we organized this program in collaboration with the Danish, Royal Danish Defense Academy and also the Stellenbosch University. And we were trying to find a forum where we could discuss the maritime security incidents in the Gulf of Guinea. And so we covered a broad range of issues such as the effectiveness of the Yaunde Code of Conduct. We also looked at the role of women in maritime security, the issue of cyber security. You know, there are so many cables in the seabed. We looked at the implications for coastal communities. And then we also looked at the importance of rolling in also non-state actors and the role of IUU fishing, the illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, all in a bid to throw more light and to see what solutions we can find to combat some of these threats.
Now, if you can bring us up to speed with the signatories to this particular document and what they are expected to do.
Okay, so the signatories, I think I have a map that shows the Gulf of Guinea region, if it can be
projected,
projected now, the very first
it's projected. Where you are, you can see.
Okay,
I can see
so
it's at your back.
There's a map that shows the Gulf of Guinea countries.
There it is, so you can see.
As you can see from the map, originally the signatories on the Yaunde Code of Conduct, they are 25.
Right.
At that time, Rwanda had left ECAS, so Rwanda was not part of the initial signing.
We have Angola, DRC, Congo, Gabon, STP. What's STP?
Sao Tome and Principe.
Okay, Sao Tome and Principe.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Equatorial Guinea, Cameroon, Burundi, Rwanda, Central African Republic. Yeah, CR.
Yes.
Yeah, Chad, Niger, Benin, Togo, Niger,
Ghana,
Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea Conakry, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, the Gambia, Senegal, Cabo Verde, Mali.
So as you can see from the map, the Gulf of Guinea area stretches from Senegal in West Africa to Angola in Central Africa.
Right.
And it comprises of 17 of the coastal states, 2 island states, and 7 landlocked states. And it's important that the landlocked states are also brought on board because most of their goods passes through the ports of the coastal countries.
Right.
And so these countries are the ones that met and are the ones that are the signatories to the Yaunde Code of Conduct. And broadly, they aim to increase cooperation and collaboration, information sharing, and also pooling of resources in order to fight maritime piracy and other crimes in the Gulf of Guinea.
Awesome. So I just want to find out from you what role your outfit is playing, the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center is playing in all of this.
Okay, so at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, we run a number of training programs that is bent on improving the capacity of the maritime actors in the Gulf of Guinea. And so, for instance, we have a maritime security and transnational organized crime, which is sponsored by the Germans and which trains twice a year maritime actors in a collaborative manner. It's not only the Navy, it's all the gamut of maritime actors, including the media now.
Right.
And then we also have one course that is on maritime security reporting for journalists, and that course has just been run this year. We had a pilot course in Takrady, and then we had one in the center recently. And we have also one which is called developing a maritime security culture in the Gulf of Guinea. And that course also aims to inculcate in the maritime security access the idea of a shared maritime culture. As you are very much aware, the sea is a global commons, and no one country can be able to police the sea by itself. And so it's important for a shared understanding of the threats and a shared understanding of what can be done to be able to police the waters. So in this sense, apart from the training programs that we also offer a platform where we convene the regional actors, the political actors, and the national actors. And so periodically, we've had about 7 of them so far from 2019. We are able to pull them together. They come down and they jaw on what they can do to improve maritime security. And during these forums, they get to know better the architecture. For instance, the role the ICC plays, the roles of the regional organizations that are in Cote d'Ivoire and then Congo-Brazzaville. And also they get to put a human face on the next person who is working on maritime security in a different country. We also do some knowledge products. We do empirical-based research on very critical issues in the sub-region. So, for instance, we've done one on incident reporting mechanisms in the Gulf of Guinea. So we try to understand why ship owners or captains would rather call their masters instead of the nearest center when they are attacked. And then we also try to look at how maritime crimes impact on the lives of women. And so we do all of this research, and we hope to be able to attract policy attention for them to know the issues that are happening in the maritime space, and for them to also put in place the necessary policies that seeks to address them.
Now, prior to the Yaunde architecture, what was the state of affairs in terms of maritime criminality and illegality? And, what's the situation as of now?
Okay, so before 2013, maritime piracy and criminality in general was on the ascendancy. And sometimes we in the Gulf of Guinea, we just, it looks like we just sat there and we were watching the Somali pirates, the Gulf of Aden. We were watching them and wondering what was happening there. And before we could say Jack, it was upon us. And so the International Maritime Bureau, for instance, indicates that between 2007 and 12, there were 197 attacks alone in the Gulf of Guinea. And so the situation was very dire. And of course, we talk about the illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. It was also a huge issue, and it still is, because in West Africa alone, about 40% of the fish that are caught illegally. And it's estimated that about 1.5 billion is lost annually due to the loss of the fish in the Gulf of Guinea. And so the situation was really very dire in the Gulf of Guinea. And what was missing was the response mechanisms to be able to combat them. And that is what the Yaunde architecture then provided in the Gulf of Guinea.
Now, one of the major, objectives of the Yaunde architecture is to help, cooperation, collaboration between states, so we can fight illegality, in the Gulf of Guinea and all that. Now, in terms of information flow, we have the Maritime Organization Center, that's the MOCs, which feeds the Maritime Multinational Coordination Center at the 5 operational zones in the region. If you can tell us what the 5 operational zones are.
All right.
And then we also have the Regional Maritime Security Centers for West Africa, that's CRISMAL.
Yes.
And the Central Africa, that's CRISMAC, who report to the Inter-Regional Coordination Center, that's the ICC,
yes,
as you mentioned. Yes. What happens practically so far as information flow is concerned?
So I think to make
First
it
of all,
easier,
you tell us about the 5 operational zones.
All right.
And then you tell us what happens in terms of information flow, in the hierarchy, like in a chronological form.
All right. Yeah. I think I have a chart there.
Okay, so that should be projected as well.
Which would be very helpful to
I think shortly it will be on screen.
All right. So the framers of the Yaunde Code of Conduct were visionary in their approach in hindsight, because they took it from a bottoms-up approach in which they are... Not this one, the other one, please.
Yeah. Is that what you're looking for?
The next one.
The next one, okay.
Yes.
So if you can go to the next one, production and
yes.
Okay,
so
sure.
I hope it's clear to our viewers.
Yeah, it is.
If you look at the chart, there are different strategies and levels of the architecture's operational flow chart. And so at the bottom level are the national actors.
Yes.
And so the 25 or the 26 countries that are part of the Yaunde architecture are in all of these 5 zones that you are seeing there.
Right.
So for instance, we have the zone A, the zone D, the zone E, the zone F, and then the zone J. West Africa alone has 3 zones, and then Central Africa has 2 zones.
Right.
And if you look at the zones, all the countries that are signatories to the architecture are grouped.
So zone A has
yes.
Angola, Republic of the Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo, and then Burundi.
Exactly.
Zone D has Cameroon, Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, Sao Tome and Principe.
Yes.
Zone E has Benin, Nigeria, Togo, Niger.
Yes.
Zone F has Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Guinea, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Burkina Faso. And Zone G has Cabo Verde, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, and Mali.
Exactly. And so the idea is that each of these zones, every country is supposed to have a maritime operations center, which is the focal place where the issues of maritime security and crimes are discussed.
Right.
So for instance, if you take Ghana, for example, we are supposed to have a national maritime operations center, which is populated by all the maritime agencies, not only the Navy, the fisheries, the Ghana Ports and Harbours, the Marine Police, the Immigration, the Customs, you know, every actor that has a role at sea. But in most cases, we don't see this happening because most of the time they use the Navy Maritime Operations Center as the national MOC. I think it's only in Sierra Leone that there's a semblance of that there. And so at the national level, the information that they get is supposed to feed into the multinational coordination centers. As you can see, those are the 5 zones that are just there now. And so the national country gets the information. If it is beyond their level of operation, they escalate it to the multinational zones. For instance, because it may require hot pursuit, it may require them taking it up together. And so if it gets to the multinational zones and they are also not able to respond to it, then they also escalate to the regional centers. And so for those in West Africa, they would escalate it to the Cresmao, as you rightly mentioned, and for those in Central Africa, they would send the information to the Cresmac, and then, of course, it will then go to the Inter-Regional Coordination Center, which is at the top, at the strategic level, before it goes to the ECAS, the ECOWAS, and the GGC. And so the maritime, the Yaunde architecture is not fully operational yet, because Zone J and Zone A are not fully operational, even though Zone J, which is based in Cabo Verde, ECOWAS has signed a headquarters agreement with them, and they are waiting for some assets to be able to be fully functional. But it's not fully functional. Zone A is also not fully functional. So it's there's still time and there's still hope that once it is fully operational...
10 years down the line, are there any reasons why they are not functional?
Well, I think it boils down to some logistical challenges, the age-old issue of funding, of financing, of who pays what, and then the countries also getting their act together and you know, putting together the necessary structures. For instance, before you get to the zone, the country that is sending you must be willing to pay for your upkeep. Because if I send you to Nigeria, for instance, I should pay your full board and lodge. But some countries are unable to do that. And so if you look at the multinational center in Ghana, Zone F, for instance, we have just about 3, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, and Ghana, who are manning it. But it's supposed to be reflect all the countries that are there in that zone. And so that is the issue, but it's a work in progress, because if you look at the level of the regional zones, the Cresmao and the Cresmac, there's hope. In 2019, the staff there were quite skeletal, but now you can see that it's really now picked up and it's fully operational. I mean, the people are well represented there, and so I think there's hope for the architecture. It's only that at the level of the ICC also, there's a lot of work that has to be done there, because the proposed staffing of 26 personnel is not what we are seeing there today. And so it's a work in progress, and I think we haven't done badly, and we still have some ways to go.
But the reasons you just mentioned shouldn't be good enough reason for states to not to want to, as it were, oblige. Because if it's just a matter of paying for transport and lodging and all that, to get something as huge as this done, something as important as giving protection to the Gulf of Guinea area. I mean, I don't think any country has an excuse. Why do you think there seems to be that lack of interest and commitment, from some member states? That 10 years down the line, we can't see a full implementation of the Yaunde architecture.
You must understand that countries have different capacities, and not every country has the required resources to be able to deploy, within the time frame that they are looking at. So it's a work in progress. And as much as the desire is there, they also may not have the necessary people that are at speed or have been trained properly to come and man those zones. And so maybe they are probably doing their homework to ensure that the person that they bring on board will not be a liability, but will be well trained and meet all the specifics of what they are going to do in that particular place.
Let's come home to Ghana.
Yes.
What's our performance like?
Oh, Ghana, we are not doing too badly. I'm sure you heard that on the 29th of August, we recently launched our integrated maritime strategy. And so that's a step up for us. And we are also currently drafting our anti-piracy bill. And so I think we are doing very well. There. And we did very well too by hosting the multinational center, at a time when there was not much action on it. Ghana, particularly the Navy and GMA, stood strongly by that center and ensured that it was manned and staffed and was able to do its work, churning out reports on the maritime security scene, on a daily, annually, whatever basis. So Ghana is not doing badly at all. Yes.
Now, 10 years down the line, are there any pointers in terms of successful interventions that have emerged after the implementation of the Yaunde architecture?
Oh, yes. Yes. There are some pointers. The first indicator is that if you look at the state of maritime piracy and armed robbery for the last 10 years, for instance, in 2020 or between the years 2010 and 2020, the International Maritime Bureau, for instance, recorded that there were about 600 attacks alone in the Gulf of Guinea. And that led to 648 kidnapped for ransom cases.
Right.
So that's about how many people were kidnapped from the ships that the pirates abducted. And the UNODC also estimates that about $4 million alone was used in paying for ransoms. But if you look at the picture today, since 2021, the issue of maritime piracy, the incident of maritime piracy has gone down drastically. And has left many people wondering what the cause is. And so if you look at the International Maritime Bureau statistics, for instance, for this year up to June, only 12 incidents were recorded, from a high of about 80 just a couple of years back. And so it shows that at least something is being done, and little by little we are getting there. Secondly, there were 2 instances of the Yaunde architecture being used. The information was passed through the architecture, and they were able to board 2 ships. The first one is the MT Maximus in 2016.
Right.
Even though they got international support, the information was coordinated within the Yaunde architecture framework, and it led to Nigeria eventually boarding the hijacked ship and releasing the pirates, releasing those that had been kidnapped. And then also in 2020, the Hailefeng 12, Hailefeng 2, a fishing vessel that was also attacked by pirates off the coast of Cote d'Ivoire. That one was at the height of COVID, and it shows that even though the international navies had all left the scene because of the COVID, the Yaunde architecture partners were able to rally, and the information was spread throughout the architecture, and they were able to also apprehend the pirates, and who are now being arraigned and have now been fined in Nigeria because they have the anti-piracy laws. Talking about the anti-piracy laws, there's about I think 5 countries, Nigeria inclusive, Togo, I think Cape Verde, and some others who now have anti-piracy laws, and that is a very good step, because if you catch a pirate and you're not able to prosecute them, it's a huge issue, because even though most countries have signed on to the UNCLOS, which is the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, some of them have not yet domesticated it, and if you don't have a law that speaks to a crime, you are not able to, persecute them.
Right.
And then also information sharing has improved because of the pooling of resources, the interoperability of the things that they use. So the information sharing has improved, and people are now more likely to share information with each other. And so I think these are some of the things that has happened 10 years after the architecture, which is a sign in the right direction.
Right. Okay, so I just wanted to briefly tell us some of the challenges associated with the implementation of the Yaunde architecture, apart from the fact that some countries are unwilling or their inability, so to speak, to fund some of these small things we mentioned earlier on. Yeah.
All right, so you agree with me that the sea is a vast expanse of unmanned space, so to speak, in quotes, unlike the land that we are here inhabiting. If you go to any part of Ghana, there are police checkpoints at any point in time, but you cannot put checkpoints on the sea, so to speak. And so it's very difficult to, man or to check crime on the sea. And so it's important that we use technology and the use of naval assets to be able to do that. And that has been one of the major challenges, the ability to man the over 6,000 square kilometers of sea. Yeah, that has been one of the major challenges. In the same way, maritime domain awareness, it's important that citizens like myself and you have a good sense of our maritime environment. Most of the time, we do not appreciate the connections between the land and the sea. And some of the things that we do are inimical to the sustainability of the seas. For instance, if you take marine pollution, for instance, I think there was a documentary that was done the last time that indicates that a lot of the fish in the sea are eating plastics. And we look at the issue of galamsey in Ghana. So we are gradually destroying the environment, and it's going to end up in the sea. And then also we look at the issue of the judicial reforms. Countries are supposed to establish their maritime security strategies, but not all countries have been able to do that, because that's the first step for you to be able to get some guidelines on how you are going to operate in the country. And then there's still the issue of a little bit of mistrust and lack of information sharing, even though it has improved drastically. And as I indicated earlier, even though the Yaunde architecture is there, when ships are plying the Gulf of Guinea and they get attacked or they see a suspicious approach, their first instinct is to call the ship owner or to call the other MDAT, whatever, that is based in Kuala Lumpur or Malaysia. And so they are unable to call immediately the area for which they can get help. And so by the time the information is relayed back to them, the incident has already happened and the pirates are long gone. But it's a work in progress, and I'm sure with time and a lot of trust and information, confidence building, these things will be reduced also.
Now, in terms of the implementation of the Code of Conduct, which was one of the mechanisms, the three mechanisms birthed at the Yaunde Summit, what obligations have been placed on member states or signatories?
All right. So member states are first of all to produce their national maritime strategies, as I indicated. They're also supposed to set up maritime committees. And we see that a lot when we go to the Francophone speaking countries. They have what they call the State Action at Sea. And it's usually under the office of the Prime Minister. And so they coordinate all issues that have to do with the action of state at sea. And they are also to support and promote information sharing. They are also to network and to share intelligence of any maritime incidents or crimes that happen. And they are also to pull together resources, in the issue of the interoperability, so that if you look at Zone D, for instance, that has been very well done. They are able to police each other's seas because they have an MOU there. And so these are some of the things they are supposed to do. And they're also supposed to develop incident reporting templates that can report incidents and send them to the right authorities. So in a nutshell, these are some of the few things that
all right, so in terms of implementation, if you can also touch on the issue of COVID-19, which came along the line, the lack of political will sometimes, and indeed some legal barriers that has hindered, progress as far as the implementation is concerned.
Okay, so political will, sometimes the will is there, but it's the commitments that is lacking.
So we can say seeming lack of...
Exactly, okay, yes, sometimes the will is there because if you look at what other countries are doing, you can see that there really is a great will, but then there is not much commitment to it. And so that is what the leaders must work on. And when it comes to the issue of the judicial issues that you mentioned, for instance, it's important that the lawyers, the judges are also trained. And so in this instance, the UNODC is doing a lot to train the lawyers and the judges to be able to understand the maritime security issues and to understand the gravity of the offenses so that they don't let them go off with a very small fine. And the last one you mentioned was, what was the last one you mentioned, please?
Legal barriers.
Yes, the legal barriers. Because we are not at the same place in the legal frameworks. If a pirate sees that you have a law here, he may flee to another country that has no law there, and so they just manipulate the legal loopholes to be able to commit their crime at sea. And so these are some of the few things that I can mention.
Okay, so she's Efuajewa Lamte, a senior researcher at the Academic Affairs Department, that's the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. And tonight we are taking a look at the Yaunde architecture, which is 10 years old. We're reviewing it and also looking at some recommendations and what the future holds for this particular document as we seek to implement it fully for the benefit of West and Central Africa and indeed the Gulf of Guinea area. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the discussion. Please stay with us.
Guys, no, I'm tired. I'll go on a date with whoever gets here first.
Princess, really? Okay, I dey come.
Shut up!
Mame, Philip, thank you, Boss, fill my tank with Super XP Ron 95.
Well up with Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP high performance products from Goyle.
Sorry, Tony got here first, so I'm stepping with him.
Oh, cut him. Hey, go for mommy.
Choose Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP for an energizing driving experience. Always go for Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse. Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the IC covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance. Oh, Ajima, tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating great opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS. We connect. You thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, so welcome back. This is Iron Port, and the station is Metropolitan Television. And tonight we're taking a look at the 10 years of the Yaunde architecture. We're having some reviews and recommendations and what the way forward would be for this particular important document. With us in the studio is Madam Efua Ajewalamte, Senior Researcher, Department of Academic Affairs, Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Yes, ma'am. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at the Yaris.
Yes.
The Yaris, you know, what it is all about. In terms of maritime domain awareness, it is a maritime domain awareness tool.
Yes.
You know, tell us about it.
So the Yaris is a tool that has been designed by the GOGIN, which is the Gulf of Guinea, yes, interregional network.
Right.
That is supposed to help the Yaunde architecture actors to be able to have a one-stop platform to report maritime incidences, to analyze the maritime incidences, and then to be able to plan and operate the actions that they will take in that instance. So if you look at the entire thing, they did it in conjunction with the actors themselves. They consulted the ICC, they consulted the CRISMAO and the CRISMAC and the multinational coordination center. So they have their buy-in and they have it installed at the maritime operating centers. And so it's a software that they downloaded for them. And so they go into it. If there's any attack in their area, they quickly put it in there, and it's shared at the same time across board in all the other maritime operation centers within the Yaunde architecture. And so it has helped, even though it's not fully operational, it's helping to be able to get the quick action that is needed when incidents are reported. And so I think it's going to help the Yaunde architecture to be able to get actionable intelligence and information and to act on them in the time that is required.
Right. Awesome. I've been told by the production team that we can activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. The number to dial is right there on your screen, 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. Now, I just wanted to find out from you, from your earlier submission, you indicated that there seemed to be we've quelled this particular tide of piracy, in the Gulf of Guinea in recent times. And we just want to find out from you whether that can be attributed to the Yaunde architecture, because there's a question here from one of our viewers who says, hi, on board. My name is Sharon, watching from Axim. In the last year, I haven't heard a lot of piracy issues, which I think is heartwarming. Is this owed to this Yaunde architecture you are speaking of?
Yes, yes. I think this quelling of the piracy activity in the Gulf of Guinea waters is a collaborative effort at the national, at the regional, and then at the international level. But we must give credit where it's due. I think Nigeria has taken a bold step in this instance. If you realize, over the past few years, because they have been named and shamed so often and have been put on the list of piracy-prone countries, which has resulted in higher war risk insurance premiums and has affected the cost of goods and services in Nigeria.
Right.
So they have made a conscious effort over the years to try to nip the problem in the bud. It's an open secret that most of the pirates come from the Niger Delta region in Nigeria.
Right.
And so they have been able to tackle the problem from the root cause. And it boils down to the obligations of the national states, where they are supposed to take the lead in curbing maritime piracy. So, for instance, Nigeria has developed what we call the Deep Blue Project, which is a $195 million project, which they have at the level of the NIMASA, which is their maritime agency. And together with the Navy, they have acquired land assets, sea assets, and also the air assets. And so there's no way the pirates can hide now. They are watching them on land, they are watching them on sea, and they are watching them also in the air. And so whenever there's a movement on the sea, they are able to detect it from the Falcon Eye architecture of the Navy, and they are able to deploy in the shortest possible time the helicopters or the sea assets that they have acquired. And so that has really supported. The other one that has supported is the presence of what they call the coordinated maritime presence by the European Union. And so they came into the Gulf of Guinea, and they also engage in some patrols. And so whenever they hear of an incident, they quickly also go there, and they are able to arrest the situation. And so over the years, the pirates are now being a bit more careful. So if you look at the International Maritime Bureau records, you realize that from the latter part of 2021, Nigeria has not recorded a single incident of maritime piracy. And rather, the pirates, the few that have occurred, have moved further afield to Cote d'Ivoire and Congo. And so the eye on the Nigerian waters in particular has been very strong in deterring these pirate activities.
This texter says, does the architecture make some sort of provision for acquisition of our own naval vessels to police our waters so we don't rely on the help we have been getting from Europeans in recent years? My name is Tete, Newtown, Tema.
All right, for the acquisition of the naval vessels, if you'd agree with me, it is a national security issue. So it is the state itself that must procure these vessels, you know, but the international partners do give them some of the vessels they need. And then, you know, the ships really cost a lot of money. And if you want to have a presence at sea for over 2 months, that's when you are able to deter the pirates. You can't just go for 3 days and come back, because they'll be watching you. As soon as you are gone, they come and do the attack. And so it's an effort that the national government must make to be able to acquire them, because they are national assets and they are for the protection of the sovereign integrity of the state. So it's really not a hard case in that sense.
Now, I just want to find out from you what we can do to ensure that, you know, member countries, it is, you know, the implementation of the Yaunde Code of Conduct is binding so that people take it serious.
Well, that is one issue that's is a bit of a dilemma, because at the last review in 2017, it was recommended that the documents be taken to meet a larger stakeholder base so that they can also bring their contributions to bear. It was supposed to have been reviewed 3 years after, and then subsequently another number of years to see how they can make it legally binding. But I believe that there are very good examples. For instance, if you look at how what we term the Small Arms Convention, which was originally a moratorium and was not legally binding, and the way that states were not able to elicit compliance, and eventually the same states got together and they pushed for the legally binding ECOWAS Convention on Small Arms. And so I think in that same way, there's a lot of optimism that it can be a legally binding document, but it depends upon the states themselves. You know, like they say, where there's a will, there's a way. So if they see how things are going, and if they want to elicit compliance, because if it is not legally binding, you can only encourage, you can, you know, promote, but you cannot, it's not binding, so you cannot force compliance. So I think from the experience that they've had to date, they would now, it's going to be reviewed next year, I hear, the Yaunde Code of Conduct, there's going to be a big review meeting. It's not being audited. And so at that meeting, they need to also bring in more stakeholders and then get a good sense of the next direction that they should go in terms of it being politically binding on it.
Now let's talk about funding, how the region can help increase funding for the operationalization of the, you know, Yaunde Code of Conduct.
That is always a huge problem. If you look at the current landscape, there's about 26 EU-funded programs alone, which are purported to work on maritime security. And in terms of funding, not many of the Gulf of Guinea countries do that very well. And even the funding obligations that were laid down by the ECAS and the ECOWAS have not really been done. You know, they were supposed to have funded it, the ICC 40% and then get some donors, but it's not gone down well. So I think in hindsight and in looking at the thing critically, perhaps we can place some levies on the imports that come into our countries. We can create some kind of fund where the money would go in, just a percentage of that amount that we get from the imports that come into our country. And then we can have a dedicated system where that amount is kept and where it's pushed to the structure so that we get some money that we can use. Because you know that he who calls the piper plays the tune. And so if we have people that are already pushing their interest, you know, we cannot get to do what we really want to do. So unless we actually own the thing and we are actually funding it and paying for it, then we are then vulnerable to a whole lot of, directions and interest from the other partners.
Yes. Okay, so I just want to find out from you what we can do to complement the, efforts of the Yaunde architecture to ensure sustainable and, secure maritime domain.
Okay, so I think if you look at the Yaunde Code of Conduct itself, it has not much room for non-state actors. So, for instance, we're talking about coastal communities, we're talking about academics, we're talking about even the media, and recently we have brought the media on board. So, to what extent can we incorporate some of these actors to ensure that there's a level playing field and that everybody understands that we all have a stake when it comes to maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea? And so once we begin to have an awareness, the maritime domain awareness is key. Once we begin to have an awareness and once we begin to have a sense of operationalizing the Yaunde architecture, I'm sure that in due course we will be able to make giant strides in maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea.
So going forward, what should we be doing in our quest to ensure its effective implementation, and that those that are lax and laid back in terms of implementation also pick up and take it seriously so that we can have a holistic implementation of this particular document for our own benefit?
Okay, so I think that the awareness, as I mentioned earlier, maritime domain awareness is key. And then also there's the need to train the actors who are at the helm of the affairs. Sometimes we routinely run courses at the center, and you ask somebody who is even in the Navy if they've heard about the Yaunde architecture, and you'll be surprised, they will tell you that no, they've not heard of it. And so it's important that we are able to tell those that work on it what they are working with and what the benefits that come out of it when we are all able to do it well. And so we also need to rope in a lot more women. Women are very marginalized when it comes to maritime security, and we need to rope in a lot more women actors and activists who are able to also be role models for other women in the region. And then also on the issue of education, if you look at the maritime security field, I think in Ghana, apart from the RMU and the Ocean department in the University of Ghana, there's not much capacity for one to go and learn maritime security. So if you don't chance upon it, and if there's no opportunity created, you very well will not have any opportunity to be a part of the story. So I think we need to explore a lot more of these avenues.
Right. Briefly, in 2 minutes, tell us about the mechanism number 3, which has to do with the memorandum of understanding between organizations, regional organizations. Briefly.
All right, so that memoranda of understanding was between the ECAS, the ECOWAS, and the GGC, and it led to the formation of the ICC. And so it was to guide how the ICC would be established, the staffing and the things that they were supposed to do at the strategic level. Yes.
So basically, that's what it's. And how did it pan out?
Well, it's not going very well there, but I think they need to, as I said, it's 10 years now, and so they are now going to assess and see what is done, because the staffing positions have not been very well filled. As I'm speaking right now, instead of the 26
actors, these are people are not willing to offer themselves?
I think this one, the ECOWAS, the GCC, and the ECAS are supposed to pay for their staff.
Right.
And so I think for some of them, they had some challenges and they went back to their home countries. And so it's important that we address it from the top-down level. We are able to staff that place well, because they give the strategic direction to the entire architecture. And so we really need to focus more attention on that area.
All right, so your wrap-up words, Yaunde architecture, what should we be expecting in the years ahead?
I think that it's a very good document. It has a lot of promise, and it has come at a time when there was little action on our maritime security domain or the area. And so every single person has a role to play in it, because if our maritime environment is secure, that means that we are all safe and we are all secure from all kinds of maritime crime, such as the maritime piracy, armed robbery at sea, illegal fishing, transnational organized crime, such as the drugs and the environmental pollution, etc. Right. So we all have a stake in it, and we should all do our best in whatever field we find ourselves to ensure that we have a good maritime environment that will help us all in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you very much indeed. Efua Ajewa Lamte, Senior Researcher Academic Affairs Department, Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, for joining us in studio this night to discuss the 10 years of the Yaunde architecture. We did some reviews and we saw some recommendations on what the way forward is for this very important document and why there is a need for other states that are lagging behind to be apt and come up and then show a lot of will and commitment towards its implementation so that we can have this document working effectively for the generality of the people of West and Central Africa and then the Gulf of Guinea area. We say a big thanks to you for coming.
Thank you.
And also say thank you. Absolutely awesome. Also say a big thanks to our sponsors. That's the Ghana Revenue Authority, GWEL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, and Phoenix Insurance. Remember, the show is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and we entreat you to watch the abridged version on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television. My name is Kennedy Mona. God willing, next Sunday we shall bounce back with another wonderful edition of Eye on Port here on Metropolitan Television. Wish you a super week ahead, and thank you so much. Have a blessed week.